Hi guys, PJ here. Today we are working on a 2006 Volkswagen Fox and I'm going to quickly show you how to remove the factory fitted stereo and replace it with an aftermarket one. The particular aftermarket one we're going to replace it with is actually this Sony here, and this is a DAB radio, so we're going to need a digital aerial for that. To fit the radio into the car we're going to need a couple of bits and bobs to get it in. Namely this stuff down here. Now these items are all made by Auto Leads. This is available on the internet quite easily. We're going to need a wiring harness adapter, power adapter there, which is PC275-4. Obviously we're going to need a DAB aerial, DAB antenna. This particular one sticks to the inside of the window screen and is powered from the radio, so you get a pretty good signal from this one. DAB AA1, again brand Auto Leads. And we're going to need an FM aerial modulator. Without this, your FM aerial reception will be very poor and your AM radio reception will be non-existent. PC5137 should be the one for this particular vehicle. Now we will know in depth when we actually pull the radio out, because obviously you can get variances sometimes, but to actually get the radio out, you'll notice there's 4 slots, one on each corner, like so. And you're going to need 4 Euro release keys, this style, okay? Now, the Euro release keys are being very difficult to pick up from here. Simply slot in, so with the arced edge here inward on all 4 of these, slide them into the little slot there, and you'll hear it sort of go up against something. You'll feel it go firm, and it's on a spring, yeah? So when you push it outwards, it springs back in. Pop all 4 of those into the slots, yeah, so again the arc on the inside, yeah, just pop it in, there we go. If it's an older vehicle like this one, you've got to hope that somebody's not tried to shove something else in these holes, because what they've done, if they have done that, is completely knacker up the release mechanism and you'll have a right job getting it out. So if on the other hand, if you've tried to shove anything else in there, you better hope you've not broken it inside. Right, so all 4, again, arc on the inside, nice and straightforward. Just repeat on, like I say, each corner. If you can pick the keys up, there we go. Pop that one in, last one, going in there. The easiest way to do this now is to get yourself either a long screwdriver or a couple of long rods, such as anything will do. Slide it down between them, yeah. You want one each side, so you need both hands, and pull them apart, yeah. So in other words, you are spreading the keys, pulling them away from each other. So this side's going to go that way, and this side's going to go that way. Once you've done that, and you've pulled them apart, you should just pull on the rod slightly, and the whole thing will click forwards. Like so. So basically, I put one in the other side, I've pulled them to the side like so, and then pulled forward, and the radio has now released from its security mechanism. Go ahead and take your release keys out. Sometimes they're a bit fiddly. The little tab on the side here, look, can you see the spring? Push the spring in and your release key will come out a lot easier, like so, look. Just be careful your radio doesn't slide itself back in with its own weight, because then obviously you've got to click it out again. At this stage it's a good time to get yourself a bit of cardboard and a bag, cover over your gear lever and put the cardboard or foam, as I've got here, down over the centre console. When you take your radio out, the rear of it is steel. Obviously if the steel scratches against the plastic, it's going to mark the dashboard or the gear knob, so you don't really want that to happen. So we'll just twist that down like so, and you've got what's called a FACRA aerial connection here, which has got a little squeezy tab on the back. There we go, that comes off. So it's on, like I say, a little squeezy tab, look. Gotta be careful you don't switch your radio on while you're doing this, like I've just done. As for the actual connector itself, the power and the speakers, simple enough. There's a tab here, squeeze and lift the arm and out it comes. Put your radio away for safekeeping. You never know if you're going to need it again. If ever you sell the vehicle, you can pop it back in there rather than let your nice radio go with the vehicle. So you're left with your aerial and your power and speaker cable. Now this particular car doesn't have an ignition switched power supply, so you're going to have to put one of those in to the fuse box of the vehicle. In other words, you want your radio to go off when you take your key out of the ignition and remember its radio stations. Your fuse box is located here. There's a little indent here for you to stick a little leverage tool in to pop this off. There we go. There's your fuse box. Nice and easy. We're going to find out which one of those accessory fuses is switched on and off with the ignition shortly. At this stage we just want to go ahead now and get the aerial adapter and power adapter clicked in, and also we're going to route the DAB aerial basically through the dash, along under the trim here and up the side panel and onto the window screen. So we'll skip forward to when I've done all that to save a bit of time. As you can see, we have now run a power cable which is spliced into the red there, going into the power block. Now this red cable is normally plugged into the block itself, the little adapter look, so it's on bullet connectors, and basically we've just unplugged it, got a power cable there, put a bullet connector on the end, ran the power cable down through the back of the unit, down the side there in the hole, and out where the fuse box is, ready to put it on its ignition switched power supply. Okay, we're going to use something called a fuse spur, which doubles up one of the fuse slots to allow you to just simply plug the wire in, as opposed to having to solder anything. Nice and simple. I'll show you one of those shortly. The other thing that we've done is connected our aerial antenna and DAB aerial power. Now the little adapter from Autoleads has a blue wire on a bullet connector. Just unplug it from its other half. There's its other half, look. Just unplug it from that. And we've crimped in the power feed for the DAB aerial and the blue power feed for the FM connection. So they're both on a bullet connector and plugged into there, look. The DAB aerial's been run down the side here, look, of the dashboard, underneath, up the edge here. We've pulled the rubber trim off that goes up the side of the door here, look. So that just a case of grab it and pull and that'll come off. The plastic trim's on little clips. You can unclip it, pull it forwards, look. And then basically, as you can see, the DAB aerial is stuck to the window screen, and it has, if I can get you a picture of it, an grounding and earth piece there. So there's like a copper piece on it. It's like a sticker. Basically sand some of the paint off the edge of the bodywork on the inside and stick your copper sticker section onto that to earth it, and then stick your actual antenna to the window screen and run it up the glass. Quite tricky to do because you've obviously got two sticky surfaces at once, one trying to stick to the bodywork, one trying to stick to the window. Once you've done that, go through and tape your cabling up, because you've got your power cable and your antenna cable running down, and you can simply pop it behind the trim, re-tap everything back in again, because they're on, like I say, little clips. You just sort of bash them all the way down and it goes in. Shove your weather seal back on. That's your weather seal. I've got the door shut because typical England, it is throwing it down with rain. So anyway, shove that back on, tidy everything up, and then we'll go over to the power supply side of things. Right, with the power feed side of things, I must quickly point out that if any of this looks difficult or is phasing you in the slightest, I highly suggest you seek professional advice and let an expert do this for you. Obviously, if a company damages your vehicle, they're insured and your vehicle will get repaired. Same goes for injury. Obviously, if you injure yourself doing any of this, I've got to point out in this wonderful day and age that I am not liable for any injury or damage caused to your vehicle or injury caused to yourself by watching this video guide. If you're happy with that and you want to carry on with the power side, it's not a very difficult thing to do, to be honest. You're going to need either a multimeter, hopefully one in better shape than mine, it's had a lot of use, or you're going to need one of those screwdrivers with a little bulb in the end of it that lights up when you hit something power. So whichever one you're using, like I say, I'll be using a multimeter. Turn your ignition off and take the key out. Now, I've done a lot of these cars over the years, so normally, depending on spec and year, the fourth fuse on the bottom row along from the pink connector is normally a switched ignition. Now we will see that in a moment if it is or it isn't, but it will depend on your year and spec of the car as to whether it is or isn't. This is an accessory fuse, non-critical circuit. You don't want to be using anything to do with ABS braking or airbags or anything like that. So with our prong stuck on the metal terminal on the fuse there, we can see that's registering no voltage, none at all. Okay, if we now put the ignition on, so we've got the key in, ignition on, you've got your lights on, yeah, and put the prong back on the fourth fuse along from the pink thing, yeah, you are now registering 11, well, pretty much 12 volts, yeah. That basically has switched on with the key on, and that is a suitable power feed to use for your radio. So what we're going to do now is grab our fuse spur and put that fuse spur into that fuse socket. Just quickly showing you a fuse spur. This is the one we're going to be using. You can normally get these on Amazon or eBay. They're sort of £1 or so, they're not dear. And basically all it is a dummy fuse. So this bit plugs into your fuse socket. It has its own fuse for powering the radio. Now obviously this radio requires a 10 amp, so I've put a 10 amp fuse in there. And the space at the side there is to put the fuse that you pull out of your fuse box in. Yeah. So in other words, it still works the circuit that it's designed to work. So you'll have one for the actual car circuit and one for the radio doubled up. They normally come with a bullet connector on the end of them, although you can solder them of course. Do not be tempted to twist wires together and stick sticky tape over the top of it. I have seen car fires occur from that type of thing. Don't do it. For the price of a bullet connector or soldering, do it properly. I cannot stress that enough how dangerous it is just twisting wires together. You think it won't happen to you? Well, let's hope it doesn't if you've twisted wires together, because it's not a fun thing. Right, so basically we're going to get this fuse spur, and you're going to need something like some long nose pliers to pull your fuse out. Make sure your ignition is off at this stage. So just grab your fuse. There's normally a little pulling device with the car to pull fuses out. Take the fuse out, like so, and click your fuse into your fuse spur. So the fuse you've pulled out basically is going to go in here, yeah, like so. So it's doubled up, yeah. Then get your fuse spur, simply plug it back into where the fuse came from. Yeah, different size fuse spurs, so if you're on mini blade fuses or micro blade fuses, you know, you can go with that. Plug it in. There we go. And then you've got, like I say, you can bullet connector or solder. I'll put a bullet connector on the end of this. Plug that into there, and that will supply power to your radio on an ignition switch supply. Now obviously we're going to tidy all the cabling up, and we're going to get to the point where the radio goes in next. Cabling tidied up, ready to go. So we have our power and speakers, we have our aerial connector, so I've got my multimeter shoved in that there, take that out, and we also have the radio itself. Comes with a little power cable which simply plugs onto these connectors here. They only go one way round, they are sort of handed, the fins on them that click them in. That's nice and simple to do, it's just a push fit. You can't get them the wrong way round, it's impossible. The tabs only line up one way, okay? So you've got one for speakers and one for power, and they just literally click on, yeah? So there's your power one, for example. Offset pins, yeah? You can't get them the wrong way around. Click your power one on. Your radio comes with a metal surround, whatever brand it is. Take the metal surround off. Feed all your cabling through the hole first, including your aerial, don't forget that. I've seen people put these in and then forget one. And basically get it all the way into the dashboard, like so. So it's push fully home. Leave the top bit empty for now so you can get your hand behind it to pull all the cabling through, just makes life a little bit easier. Basically get a little flat blade screwdriver, twist some of the tags so that it hooks it behind the plastic trim. You don't want it coming loose and moving around. And go ahead and plug your power cable, DAB aerial if it is a DAB radio, and your normal FM aerial in. With everything nicely plugged in. So we've got our FM aerial plugged in, we've got our DAB aerial plugged in, and our power cable plugged in. We're going to tape all this up so that it's nice and secure. Likewise, we don't want any loose flapping wires around. So while it's not clicked into the slot and you're ready to go, just give it a quick test. Put your key in, put your ignition on, and tune yourself a radio station in. So we're on Smooth FM at the moment. We've preset that to number 6. And basically turn off the ignition and count to 5. Make sure it remembers. There we go, ignition off. These Sony radios beep to remind you of the fascia's coming off. Pioneers, Kenwoods, etc. don't do that. So then put your key back in and make sure it comes back to your desired radio station that you've tuned in, which it does. That means your memory's working correctly and your little power supply from the fuse box is spot on. Once you've done that, you can address, well, basically tidy your cabling up, like I say, and shove it back out the way so you've got a bit of space. There we go. For the top hole, you can get these little blanking pockets and little ratchet clips at the side, look there. Again, you get these off Amazon, eBay. They're normally sort of £3 or £4. They're a single din. Don't get me wrong, they're not a perfect fit, but they do block the hole up quite well. You can get just a blanking plate that covers over, but these are a bit more useful. Obviously, you can chuck all your junk and bits and bobs in them. And all you do, like I say, they're on a little ratchet, so you just click them in, like so. And that hides the hole. Once you've done that, go ahead and tidy your wiring up and put your radio in. Turn your ignition off. And that's how it should all look when you're finished. Rather sort of tidy, you know, nothing amiss. Like I say, they're quite rigid, them pockets. They're on a ratchet clip. If you're worried about it moving around, you can always put a bit of padding underneath it, but they are pretty stable on the whole. Just remember they are universal, so don't expect a perfect fit. And that's your radio fitted, basically. Put your ignition on there, just make sure everything's good. Put your fuse cover back on. And that is how you fit a radio on a Volkswagen Fox. Now, if you've got any questions at all concerning this or any other vehicle, can be anything from a, I don't know, Ford Focus to a Lamborghini, just pop it in the comments below and I will try and respond to you the same day. Currently, I'm getting about 50-60 questions a day to answer, so bear with me, you know, don't expect an immediate response. Thank you very much for watching and goodbye for now.